The underlined section of timing is what the changes that you all have in front of you as far as a project beginning no later than 24 months after award, and the construction phase of the project shall be completed within 30 months. So that, we are looking for two separate motions to renew and amend, but before that, yep, we are going to hear all about it in his St. Patrick's Day best. We're teaming up on this one, okay. All right, great.
In our non-St. Patrick's Day.
She's in her.
Yes, yes, Pierre.
The committee takes no action on this.
Okay,
Because
okay.
this resolution was passed by the legislature, so it has to go back to the legislature to first to be renewed and then to be amended at the legislature
At the
meeting.
full
So
legislature.
the purpose of the discussion today is to explain to the committee the proposed amendment,
Perfect, thank you, Chairman, I
with a
appreciate
little
that.
further explanation as to what happened.
Good morning, everybody. Jen Swan, Budget Director.
Good morning.
So the version that you have sitting on your desks, that was actually put there at my request. So I noticed when going through this packet this morning that the original version was literally the original version. So basically, as these resolutions go through the approval process, there's a variety of people who review them, and there are typically a number of changes that are made. The original version that's in your packet was the first version that was uploaded to the system. It did not include those changes that were made prior to legislative approval last year. So, so the version that you have on your desks includes those changes that were made. So what you're seeing in that version is actually the approved legislature version of the resolution. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Clear as mud, right?
I second that.
Very good.
So
Okay.
all that's being presented today, other than the confusion with the pre-file, is the change underlined, correct?
Yes, that
is Yes.
accurate. And I
Correct.
figured I would let Mr. Parks.
And that's the, are you talking about the time frame, Pierre?
Yes.
As far as the state's requirements for the county, Chautauqua agrees that the construction of the project shall begin no later than 24 months after the award, and then the construction will be completed 30 months, within 30 months.
Yes. So that's the portion that we'll be asking the legislature to amend once this resolution is renewed. The rest of it was just confusion with pre-file.
Okay, very good, appreciate that. And Tim, that's been added to a number of things
Yeah, we
as
did
of
two
late, has
last
it not?
months.
That timing component has been added to a number of things as of late, hasn't it?
Yes, we had,
Okay,
I think, 2 last month.
yes, okay, all right, very good. Thank you for that clarification, I appreciate that. We are taking no action on that, so any other questions, comments on number 1 of our agenda? Hopefully the heavy lifting is over. We will see, to be determined. All right, so the next item on our agenda was a tabled resolution of authorizing a lease agreement with the Jamestown's rental properties, and that is in our packet as well.
This is a resolution that we're putting out for and Anna was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, she's obviously not here. As she was gonna go over the finances with Jody Peterson. I know there was some concern as far as back taxes that haven't been paid. And since then, Jody has been to the bank and we do have a certified letter from the bank that he will have a loan and that those taxes will be taken care of in full before we move forward with this agreement. And this is for the law department to move down to the old Dr. Burke's office in Mayville. For 10 years, it's 7,500 square foot building. And this is part of the whole building restructure that we're going through as far as moving, the attorneys down there, opening up space over on the 2nd floor and moving OFA up to the 3rd floor because the public defender needs more space over there on the 1st floor. So this whole domino effect, this is basically the first step of the process that we're moving towards.
All right, very good, I appreciate that. Questions, comments? Are you looking to add something by joining at the table? I don't want to cut you
I
off.
just oversee it. Josh Roswell, Assistant
Yes,
Deputy
Josh, thank
Director,
you.
Public Facilities. I oversee the leases, so I often, or am always involved with buildings and space and departments that are looking for space, need additional space, et cetera. So, unfortunately, I was on vacation last meeting, so I'm here for this time. And, I just thought if anyone had any additional questions, I might be able to answer, so I decided to come along.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that very much. Questions, comments? Mr. Scudder?
I'll just make the comment that the issues that caused this to be tabled have been resolved, so we can move forward with it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Anything else? Anything else? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor of the proposed or the tabled resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr.
This
Chairman?
was tabled, so you
We have to take it off the table.
take it off the table.
Let's take a step back.
Thank you, Mrs. Quattrone.
Yes, thank you for that. So can we have a motion to take
I'll
this
make a
off the
motion
table?
to take this resolution off the table.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All in favor to take this off the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So it's my understanding now we're good to vote on it. Yes, great, okay. So I like having the room full of parliament, whatever the word is. Yes, thank you for that.
No one else?
Yeah. All those, so any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Great. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that very much.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, number 3 on our agenda is a proposed resolution for reallocating salary grades for storekeeper 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, this was this is reallocation for our, again, as you just said, our salaries for our storekeepers. I believe this was put in quite a few years ago and was declined. And the storekeepers, you know, are very important in our whole operation here. You know, they deal with, as far as all our purchasing for parts, in the whole DPF, as far as the landfill, the sheriff, both airports, buildings and grounds, parks, you know, and the transfer stations. They're in charge of purchasing all our parts that we go through. And they do have to take a civil service test for these positions. And basically, we are looking at for the storekeeper 3, that current grade is a grade 11, step 8 at $27 an hour. And we're looking to move him to a grade 12, step 8 at $27.85, okay? And then the other 2 are storekeeper 2s. The one gentleman is a grade 8, step 5. He will go to a grade 8 or a grade 10, step 5 to $23.74. And then our other one is currently a grade 8, step 9 at $25.35, and he will go up to a grade 10, step 9 at $26.88. So it's a slight increase, but, you know, these guys do have a lot of responsibility as far as purchasing parts, you know, and taking care of inventory every year. And all this stuff they participate in, obviously, in New World, and they're in, you know, keeping track of everything that goes through as far as our parts go in the county. So this is a reallocation that they put in, and it's in the contract, section 805 of the reallocation in the contract that they can go out and put that allocation into the HR director.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that. Questions, comments?
So, well, I have a question. I guess I'm not that familiar with the storekeeper job, and I'm wondering, outside of public facilities, do they play a role throughout the whole, you know, county government?
They're doing all the purchasing for, like I said, for all, you know, all three DPF shops, okay? The highway 3 shops, plus the landfill, all right? Plus the sheriff's department.
Plus the sheriff's, okay.
And also the airports, they do purchasing for the airports, and buildings and grounds, and parks, and transfer stations. For all the equipment, they're doing the purchasing and keeping track of all that.
Are they keeping records too? Is there anything with, in record keeping or maintenance?
Yeah,
or-
all that is in New World, and they do,
Okay.
you know, they do an inventory at least once a year. And I know when Sam was still with us, we did it twice a year just to keep track of everything and keep things, you know, taken care of.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Yep,
Are
Great.
these positions filled?
yes.
Any other questions, comments?
I assume we allocated that in the budget for the 3%.
Yeah.
Anything else? Seeing none. All those in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tim. All right, number 4, calling a public hearing upon proposal to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant infrastructure.
Pierre Chagnon, Chairman of the Legislature.
Matt Olbeck, Director, North Stock Lake Sewer District.
So this resolution has come about as a result of investigations of the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Treatment Plant here in Mayville. Back in time when we were considering how to provide public sewers in the last section of the boundary of Chautauqua Lake that does not have public sewers, and that's the area between Midway State Park and through Point Chautauqua. There were several ways that collected sewage could go to be treated. It could come north to Mayville, it could go south to Celeron. We could potentially build a new treatment plant in that area. So you'll recall we went through a study of that and came to a conclusion that we will be talking about in the next resolutions to send it all to Celeron. In that investigation, we were concerned about the capacity of the North Chautauqua Lake Sewage Treatment Plant in Mayville to handle some or all of that, especially because of the additional development that's going on in the area of that sewer district. So we had a study done, and it was done with a grant through Environmental Facilities Corporation. And the result of that study was that truly that plant does not have available capacity. And in addition to not having available capacity, many of its components are now in need of repair or upgrade. So the Sewer District Board, after conferring with its director and the engineers, came to a conclusion that they should be applying for grants to address the needs of that sewage treatment plant. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Matt.
Yeah, I mean, some of their findings was, it's a 500,000 gallon per day plant. Our daily average is 320,000, but during peak flows or rain events, heavy rain events, snow, melt, the meter actually only measures 2 million gallons a day, and we're maxing that meter out. So, I mean, it's definitely an expensive project, but it's a needed project. Right now, we do meet DEC permit because they do the average over the whole year, so our low flow days average, our high flow days, work out to, we still meet permit, but barely. Actually, the engineer said, I don't know how you are, but the DEC has not said we aren't. We, send everything in, but sooner or later, we're gonna be under a order to do something. They're actually talking about changing the process to a sequencing batch reactor process, which is aerated sludge, supposed to help us, they say, possibly reduce phosphorus right there, so maybe we can reduce our chemical use. Taking out a lot of the old stuff. I mean, the clarifiers haven't been touched since 1978, the motors, the gears. They've been looked at, and they said, they're in good shape, but they're turning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Okay, very good. I appreciate that, gentlemen. Thank you for that. Questions, comments on the explanation or the proposed resolution at all? Yes, Bob?
So I'm hearing that a lot of these repairs need to be made just because of the useful life of this plant. Will this also, and maybe I'm hearing it or I'm just not, will this also increase the capacity of the plant?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened, interesting side question here. So they determine the capacity that they need, and all of a sudden we have this influx of cottages or whatever go up on the lake. Would there ever be a time when they limit who can build or how many can build because of the plant's capacity?
That would typically be an action by DEC.
Okay.
If they come in and tell Matt, your plant is already over capacity, unless you do something, you cannot connect another user to this system.
Have we ever had that happen? Around the
The
lake?
county of Chautauqua ever had that happen? I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so. Chautauqua Institution, maybe, but
I
not
mean,
the
it'd
county
be
of Chautauqua.
frustrating to be that person.
Yeah, it'd be
That wanted
frustrating to be that first one, Matt.
Although I'm sure it would be addressed before it was hundreds of gallons a week from a certain customer. If it got that close, we're already having the discussion. You know what I'm saying?
We would be faced with a consent decree, which would mean whether you have grants or no grants, you have to fix it now.
Let's go. Yeah, okay.
Thank you for that. I have a question. I realize the proposed resolution is just for calling of a public hearing, but then later on in the resolution, it talks about a rough estimated project cost there of, it looks like 10.1 million. Given that information, I don't see, and it might be in there, Matt, you were talking about 500,000 capacity versus sometimes you're topping out or over 2 million. Do we have a target as to what our capacity would be, we'd ultimately be looking for, or that would be part of the study? Or part of the
design.
the design project, yes.
Yeah, it would be. They kind of, for the map and plan purposes, they designed it as 0.75 million gallons per day.
So it's a 50% increase in
Okay.
capacity.
Okay, all right, very good. Any other questions, comments on the proposed resolution? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Great. Thank you very much.
And now I'm going to hand you some maps just to remind you about the next 4 resolutions we're looking at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you sign this for me?
Okay, so I have talked to you in the past about the lengthy process of getting grant funds to do infrastructure projects. At the legislature meeting next Wednesday, we'll be having a public hearing on the Phase 3 extension of the Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District. And these next 4 resolutions are what the legislature will consider if the legislature would like to proceed with this project. So we hold a public hearing to get input from the public. Then the legislature needs to decide, yes, we would like to go forward, or no, what we've heard, changed our minds, we don't want to go forward. So then if the legislature is of a mind to go forward, then we have to pass actually 5 resolutions in specific order. The first resolution will be a seeker resolution, which will be before Planning and Economic Development Committee on Wednesday. And then 5 resolutions in specific order that the Environmental Facilities Corporation requires you adopt them in a particular order. This is a very specific, complicated process.
I see that, yes.
So the first proposed resolution in this regard is a determination in relation to the extension of the Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District bounds from Midway State Park through Point Chautauqua on the east side of Chautauqua Lake. So now I'm going to turn it over to the director of this district, Tom Walsh.
Hi, Tom.
Good afternoon, Tom Walsh. So that district is actually the Midway Park is our northern border on the east side of Chautauqua Lake. And that would extend all the way to the condominiums in DeWittville, and that is the boundary of the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District. So this is the last gap of sewering the entire lake. Following our Phase 2 extension, everything on the west side will be completed, and this is the Phase 3 that will complete the gap around the lake. So all properties on Chautauqua Lake will be served by a municipal sewer system.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I'm allowed to tip my hand like that. Thank you for that explanation, is what I meant to say. So, okay, so we are just talking then, Mr. Chairman, on proposed resolution number 5 on our agenda.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Questions, comments for either of the gentlemen up front?
Yeah, I have a question about the cost, because you mentioned 10 million, I'm seeing 35,590,000.
Different project.
Okay.
The $10 million was the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District.
Right,
This is now that we're talking about is the extension of the Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District.
right.
Two different projects.
So this is 35,
This is 35 million, yes. As hard as that is to believe, Tom, yeah,
Wow.
it's a lot of money.
it is, yeah.
Pipe and wire is very expensive.
Okay.
And as I've said before, this is a conservative estimate that we will not exceed when we go to bid.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
All right,
Tom?
thanks, yep.
Any other questions, comments at all on the proposed resolution?
What kind of timetable are we looking at for this project?
Well, where we're at, Tim, is we are building up to submitting grant applications at the end of May. And then we will hope to hear satisfactory results from the bid, or from the grant applications roughly the end of the year. And if we receive the sufficient grant funding to go forward with the project, then the next thing we would need to do is to advertise for and select an engineer for the project, a design engineer, and then we go forward from there.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Anything else? All right, hearing, seeing nothing else. All those in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Number next on our proposed resolution is the establishment of a capital accounts for the Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District, Phase 3.
More details. Same project, more details.
Very good. Any questions, comments on that item? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. The next item for that, I'm going to read this one, a resolution authorizing the issuance of $35,590,000 bonds of the County of Chautauqua, New York, to pay the cost of the design and construction of an extension of the Chautauqua Lake Sewer District in and for said county.
And Mr. Chairman, the reason for this resolution, other than it's required, is that Environmental Facilities Corporation of the State of New York will not accept a grant application unless we have committed that we would bond for the entire cost of the project. Even though if we don't get grant funding, we're not going forward with this project. This is their requirement. Even though we will also be expecting a 0% interest, 30-year interest-free loan for the balance that is not grant funded. So
From,
from Environmental Facilities Corporation. When we apply for grant funds, we're hoping to get at least 50% of the cost as grants. And the balance, we are asking for a 30-year, 0% loan to cover the balance, which then the users of the district will pay back over the next 30 years.
Right.
So it's a bit of a mystery why they require us to commit that we'll bond for the whole project when there's no way in the world we would intend to do that. But that's their requirement.
Okay, so that does not put us on the hook for anything,
Nope.
it's just, okay,
It says we're authorized
yes, yes,
to issue it.
okay,
Not that we ever would, but
right,
that much.
sure. Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments?
I noticed the usefulness, 40 years, is that a
Yes.
conservative estimate, or is it likely could go longer, or?
It should go much longer.
Okay.
So just an example, the South and Center Sewer District went in operation in 1980. Pumps that were started, the small grinder pumps that we'll be using for much of this phase, they have a 7 to 10 year life expectancy. We are just now starting to change them out 40 years later. So it's a short window of life expectancy, but with maintenance and things, yes, you can improve that.
All right, good.
Continuous
Thank you.
maintenance is the answer to the question.
Any other questions, comments on
Bright side, we've done it before.
We've been down this road
experience?
before.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing, seeing none, I've lost my place. Are we to the place of, we didn't approve this one yet, number 7, the third one? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. And the last of the 4, number 8 on our agenda, authorizing the county to apply for grants on behalf of the Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District to extend district bounds from Midway State Park through Point Chautauqua on the east side of Chautauqua Lake.
So this is the last step in the process. After we've concluded all of the requirements for EFC, then we get to the point where now we can ask them for a grant. So that's the purpose of this proposed resolution.
Which is something we definitely want to do, that's for sure. Questions, comments on the number 8 on the agenda? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Great, thank you very much. And then we have one remaining item on our agenda. I think one remaining item on our
Yes.
agenda. Yes, we do. A late proposed resolution, the authorization for the county to apply for grants on behalf of the South and Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer Districts for review of wastewater treatment plant capacity.
Well, this is a bit of a opportunity to look for opportunity, I guess is the best way to describe it. Environmental Facilities Corporation offers $50,000 engineering planning grants with a 10% local match to look at opportunities to improve operations. So earlier this evening, we had a resolution dealing with the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Treatment Plant for a $10 million upgrade to it. We also have a treatment plant in Celeron, the South and Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Treatment Plant, that has available capacity. Part of it hopefully will be utilized by this Center District Extension, but we believe it may have even more capacity available because of some of the wonderful upgrades that have been done to the treatment plant by putting in fine bubble aeration process, which has really improved the operation of the plant and giving us significant additional capacity. So, since we're applying for grants for the Mayville plant, which we hope we get, but who knows, we thought we might take the opportunity to apply for an engineering planning grant to look at the South and Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Treatment Plant in Celeron and its capacity of its infrastructure coming to it. Maybe some of the capacity requirements for the Mayville plant could be sent to Celeron. We don't know. The engineers were kind of like, well, maybe, you know, a lot of ifs and, well, if we could get a grant to pay for the study, it probably would be a good idea to look at that. Because, Bob, as you asked the question earlier, what if we don't get a grant for the Mayville plant? We still need to take care of it. Maybe there's an alternative. Don't know, not promoting it, but it's certainly worth investigating, since we have what we believe is available capacity in Celeron. So we would like to apply for an engineering planning grant to answer those questions.
Great, appreciate that.
Always looking for
Yeah,
opportunities.
yeah, you never know, that's right. Okay, appreciate that. Questions, comments on that at all? All right, so those, all in favor of the late proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried, great.
And I do appreciate that because the deadline for that engineering planning grant application is next month,
Okay,
early next month, so we didn't have time.
very good.
I
very
appreciate
good.
you considering that under other.
Yes, very good, thank you. Is there anything else, committee, for the good of the order to mention, or to bring up, or to question, criticize? Seeing none, let's have a motion to adjourn the committee meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.